At Biblins Campsite, people come and go all the time, and so do our wardens. Some wardens have time to take it easy, whilst others are as busy as a mole in an empty field. The wardens are all different, but every Biblins warden has a story to tell, and all of them start their day with a cup of tea. What do you think Ben has written in the warden's diary today? Biblins Campsite is normally closed during the winter months, but this winter Ben had been asked to open the site and run a team building course for some very special customers. It was very cold when Ben arrived on site, but he soon brought the wood burner to life, boiled the kettle and set the tea brewing, before rereading the briefing notes. Ben hadn't been told very much about the visitors. He did know that the visitors had come for some team building training and that they were a specialist team within a large logistics firm. They needed to be able to work at a fairly extreme pace whilst observing strict COVID safety protocols. And eventually a minibus arrived with a very unusual trailer, and a short fellow leapt out from the passenger seat, carrying a clipboard. "Morning, you Ben?" he shouted up to the cabin. Ben dragged himself up out of the warmth of the hut, stood on the veranda and replied, "Yes, are you the Richard Smart party?" "Absolutely, I'm Lofty." Ben was a little surprised at such a diminutive Lofty, but managed not to show it, and instead they chatted for a bit, and Ben directed Lofty to their pitch. Lofty nodded and said, "OK, we've got the principal in the back. Give me 5 to get set up and we'll be ready for you. Actually, better make it 10. The principal might need a bit of extra briefing on this one." So Ben finished his tea, grabbed the first activity from the basement, and followed them towards the pitch. "Right, folks," called Ben. "Your first activity is called the Spider Web Challenge. The frame has lots of small gaps. You'll have to get your whole party through the spider web without touching any of the strings and without using the same hole twice." "You heard the man," shouted Lofty. "Let's get a couple of the smaller ones through first, and then we'll have teams on both sides to help with the principal." Ben stood back and watched as the team got stuck in. They were clearly used to working together. Well, most of them anyway. He noticed one hanging at the back, looking unsure. Lofty seemed to notice at the same time. "Right, time for the principal to come through," he called. Several of the group picked up the still rather unsure-looking man at the back and passed him through the web to their teammates on the other side. Ben was a little surprised. He'd assumed that the principal would be in charge, but it seemed that whatever the group was doing, it was Lofty who was very much the team leader. Ben would need to keep an eye on things and make sure everyone was comfortable when they went on to the more challenging trip in the afternoon. At last the whole team were through, high-fiving and congratulating each other. "Brilliant teamwork," Ben called out. Normally he'd have much more of a conversation about how the exercise had gone, but it was chilly standing around outside. In any case, it was difficult to have a quiet word with the principal whilst maintaining a 2-metre distance. "OK, on to the next challenge. This is just a quick one, but there's lots of running, which will get you warmed up." He was a little surprised to see most of the team remove their jumpers and put them in a neat pile. "Well, maybe not that warmed up," he said. "It's still jolly cold." But one of the team, slightly shorter than Lofty, and with extremely pointy ears, said, "It's all right, boss. Our base is usually a foot deep in snow. This is pretty warm for us." So Ben showed them the collection of pipes and lengths of guttering and a box of tennis balls. "See that tub over there?" He pointed across the field. "You need to try and get those tennis balls into that tub, using only the equipment in this pile." And again the team set to work, quickly discarding a couple of pipes that were actually too narrow for the balls to fit down. Ben was impressed. Not many teams had noticed that when he'd run this activity before. And again Ben noticed the principal was hanging back. And again the team had also noticed. Ben watched as 2 of them went over to pass him a length of guttering. Ben didn't catch quite what the principal said, but he heard fragments like, "Not how I usually do it," and "I like the pies and brandy." In the end, Lofty's voice came through loudly. "Look, this will be great practice. We need to get used to using the chute. We're not going to be able to go inside the houses this year. We'll have to be a lot more creative." It's an odd explanation, thought Ben, but it seemed to work. Despite grumbles from the principal, the team soon had all the balls in the tub. "OK, everyone," said Ben. "The final activity for today is abseiling. It's a bit of a walk. Head out over the bridge and turn left. I'll catch up in a moment." As Ben grabbed some ropes and hurried to catch up, he noticed the principal now right at the front of the group and looking much more confident. Once at Simmons' yacht, Ben assembled the group and explained what they were going to do. The ropes were soon set up, and he and the principal, who this time had volunteered to go first, were ready. The team at the bottom of the cliff were waiting and cheering the principal on. However, it soon became clear that the principal was not at all happy about abseiling down and had stopped at the top of the rock. "Come on," called Lofty. "You can do it. Just push away from the wall." The calls and encouragement from the bottom of the cliff continued, but the principal was frozen at the top. "It's too exposed," he complained. "Too open. People will see me." "You'll be fine," came the call from the group at the bottom. "I don't hold with all these newfangled techniques. Quick dash down the chimney has always been good enough for me." Ben saw the group huddle together, and then, rather to his surprise, they all rushed off and started gathering rocks. He watched as they started piling them up, building something, and soon the team had assembled their rocks, and true to his word, once he was surrounded, the principal got to the bottom faster than Ben had ever thought possible. Ben started to look back through all the comments that had puzzled him today. That this team was so used to working together, they came from a base deep in the snow, they were gearing up to make deliveries to lots of houses. Surely, it couldn't be. Back at site, Ben finished putting away the equipment and wandered over to say goodbye to his strange visitors. When he got there, he saw that the minibus had gone, and in its place were a small team of reindeer, all hitched to a sledge. The principal was sitting at the front with the team stacked in the back. Lofty looked out and waved to Ben. "Thanks, so long. Let's go, boss." And the reindeer started to run. The Warden's Diary is a fictional adaptation based on previous media appearances by Mr. Christmas and supported with extensive interviews with people who hold very strong opinions about Mr. Christmas's activities. Any comments, complaints and corrections should be addressed to the legal department, preferably the legal department from a different company. Biblins is a campsite near Simmons Yacht in the Wye Valley that takes bookings exclusively from organised youth groups and schools. The site is currently closed for winter, and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are unsure exactly when we shall be fully open again. We look forward to welcoming back young people in 2021, and we have an active Just Giving page to help us recover after a difficult 2020. Check out the links below for more information. If you would like to get in touch or have more ideas for the Warden's Diary, then be sure to look us up on social media. And don't forget to click that subscribe button for more tales from the Warden's Diary.